If you wanted to control the people of an entire civilization, what would you have to do? What if you wanted to do so without raising a massive army to defeat every nation? How would you get entire cultures to simply obey? What would you do? Stride forward and start barking orders? You'd get laughed out of the political arena and sent packing at best. If people really didn't like you and your ideas regarding how they should live their lives, history shows that your political career might not be the only thing cut short as a result. HBR Talk with Hannah Wallen. To avoid such an abrupt ending, you'd have to find a substitute for that military force you're not using. You could gain control by having great ideas that inspire people to follow your lead. But what if your ideas really suck? How would you get people to listen? If you were unscrupulous, you could use manipulation. You'd have to gain control over the way people think, and more importantly, you'd need control over their emotions. You'd need to make a majority of them afraid to be perceived as thinking differently than you say they should, as well as hateful and fearful toward others who do so. We talked about this in our discussion on political correctness and the rise of cultural Marxism in HBR Talk 143, Evolution of an Intellectual Kneecapping Machine. In that episode, we discussed a process by which a subgroup of neo-Marxists sought out and occupied positions they felt would give them influence in America's cultural institutions, so that they could use those positions to influence cultural norms. This decades-long process, known as the Long March Through the Institutions, is the mechanism by which political correctness was infused into American culture. As I stated in that episode, this change was not organic and agreed upon, as its proponents would have you believe, but slowly and methodically trained into generation after generation of young Americans. It involves a quiet process of installing like-minded political ideologues into every influential fixture within a society, from educational to media institutions, to community and labor organizations, to government agencies. Then, from these influential positions, the group's ideals can be promoted as the, quote, enlightened way of thinking and of discussing politics. This then becomes the standard for political correctness, and a culture has been created around virtue signaling by displaying one's grasp of that standard. Thus, no logic, reason, or facts are needed to promote authoritarian policy, deny individual rights, or impose collective identities on groups of people. Only the advocator's attachment of moral authority to the message. Proponents are able to operate on a their way or the doghouse principle, heaping ignominy upon anyone who questions any narrative that is protected or promoted by this self-appointed pastorate of political righteousness. Once a sphere of influence is colonized by this corruption of the public discourse, its population becomes largely intellectually paralyzed by fear of collective reproach, incapable of independently analyzing and critiquing ideas. Instead, these subcultures morph into social agglomerates that communally adopt or repudiate ideas based on the moral judgment of the arbiters and raconteurs of political correctness, and the social coup is complete. That sphere is now occupied, commanded, and manipulated, governed by its ostensible betters. In this way, wokeness is used society-wide to control the language of social and political debate, and by extension, the political decisions of entire populations. As the modern, undisguised incarnation we know as woke culture, it has metastasized and spread like a cancer through every culturally influential institution in Western civilization, with little tumors and tendrils of its coding in every expression of their function. It is a pest, as it infiltrates our hobbies and entertainment media, a problem that contaminates our press corps, a perversion corroding our educational, research, and scientific institutions, a profligate ravaging our government and public services, a pestilence infecting our professions, and a plague upon the entire medical community. At this point, there really is no escape. This poison cannot be avoided, as it is designed to follow you anywhere, track you down, and force its way into your life without your consent. There is only the individual choice to become part of a spreading malignancy, or to oppose it by resisting its advance and challenging its value and validity. There is no safe haven from this affliction, only subordination or rebellion. Recently, outgoing president of the American Psychological Association's Society for Media and Technology, Christopher J. Ferguson, made just that choice by resigning from the association in protest of its corruption by woke ideology. His rebellion took the form of a letter of resignation, a detailed description of the desecration he's witnessed in his field of medicine. This week on HBR Talk, we're joined by Prim Reaper and Therapy Snack to read through Christopher Ferguson's letter so we can highlight and consider the issues he has raised therein. The discussion will stream on the Badger Livestream's YouTube channel at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, or you can find other listening options at HoneyBadgerBrigade.com.